It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman, and this show is brought to you by CartKing.com. That's right, you go to cart-king.com, and you give them a call at 877-986-7771. Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Perhaps your current business wants to add multiple point-of-sale locations across the country quickly. Maybe the facility you manage could kickstart revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. CartKing.com can be the answer to your needs. CartKing.com is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile retail, coffee, food, and kiosks and carts that money can buy. For 20 years, CartKing.com has been working with clients and corporations across America to provide indoor and outdoor carts and kiosks for any application. So you go to cart-king.com. You check out their designs, you pick out the one that applies to your business, they'll custom design it for you, custom build it for you, and ship worldwide. 877-986-7771. Okay, I'm very excited about our guest today. We have Stuttering John Melendez, from Howard Stern fame, from Jay Leno fame, from a Trump crank phone caller fame. Stuttering John, are you there?
Hey, man, how you doing, Ed?
I'm doing good. I'm actually a big fan, John. I'm a big fan. I'm a Stern fan for years and years. Early Stuttering John days. But for people who don't know who you are, can you tell them who you are?
Oh, I'm a comedian that was on the Howard Stern show, famous for asking celebrities crazy questions. For instance, I asked the Dalai Lama, do people go up to you and say, hello, Dolly? Right. I got strangled by Lou Reed for asking him if he still masturbated, and judging by his grip, he does. I got punched in the nose by Raquel Welch for asking her, are they drooping yet? I asked OJ if he would sign my knife, and coincidentally, he had his own. And probably the best response I ever got was from Joan Rivers when I asked her, do you think ugly people should be allowed to have children? And she said no, and I told your parents that. So, and you know, I was the ball breaker on the show with Howard Stern. I was there for 15 years. Then I did a show called I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here.
Right.
And that got me to be a guest on the Tonight Show, which was one of my dreams. And then from there, I ended up getting hired as the announcer and staff writer on the Tonight Show. And recently, I had another pillar in my success story by crank calling the president and getting Jared Kushner and Donald Trump to call me from Air Force One, thinking I was Senator Bob Melendez.
Now, are you hosting a podcast now too?
Yes, I have the Stuttering John podcast, which is on a new one every Tuesday. Today, I'll have Casey Armstrong on, one of my old colleagues from the Howard Stern show. And I also have a book coming out that comes out November 13th. It's a memoir about my life, kind of a motivational comic where I'm through my life from being a stutterer who eventually becomes the announcer on The Tonight Show, the biggest late-night talk show in history. And it's also all the behind-the-scenes of Howard and all the behind-the-scenes of Jay Leno and all the crazy stories of me, you know, writing a song with Joe Walsh from the Eagles and sleeping at Sam Kinnison's house and getting stoned with David Lee Roth and opening up for Ozzy Osbourne. And, I mean, it's just every, you know, if you're into entertainment, you'll love this book.
Yeah, that's some incredible stuff, man. You've had some life, you know? What were you planning on doing? I know you wanted to be in a band. You were a musician. What was your backup plan to that?
You know, I had two loves, and that was television, movies. Television, movies, and the band, and so, you know, as I was playing in my band, I was also at NYU majoring in film and television, and I've always wanted to be on television. I always wanted to be a writer on television, and I always wanted to get a record deal. And I ended up getting 2 record deals, one on Atlantic, which I got a good review from Rolling Stone, and another one on a smaller company, Razor and Tie. And then I ended up having a career in television, being announced at The Tonight Show, being on the Howard Stern Show, the E! Show, the CBS Show. I was the voice of Tripping the Rift, an animated series with Gina Gershon and Stephen Root. And I've got to appear in, I guest starred in Wings. I was on Baywatch, Baywatch Nights. I was in Dude, Where's My Car, and Private Parts, and Airheads. And I don't know. I actually have, one of my songs in the Airheads soundtrack. I've just lived the life. I always equate my life. I've had the life of a Forrest Gump. Only I was too stupid to invest in Apple stock.
Well, yeah, you can't complain. You definitely can't complain about your life. You landed on your feet. Now, you mentioned these when you used to go to these press conferences and I asked these obnoxious questions, right? But you left out my 2 favorite ones. The first one was with Yoko. Do you remember Yoko?
Yoko Ono, I do. I don't remember what I asked you, though.
What did you do with the money?
No.
No?
That was Ringo Starr. You're mistaken. I went to a press conference and asked Ringo Starr, what did you do with the money? And he said, what money? I said, the money that your mom gave you for singing lessons.
Yeah, I always thought that was Yoko. Okay.
Yeah, no, that was Ringo Starr. And what was the other one?
The other one was Jennifer Flowers.
Yeah, Jennifer Flowers is what really put me on the map. She just came out with the affair with Bill Clinton. Everyone thought this was going to ruin Bill Clinton's chances of becoming president. Instead, I made a mockery of the press conference. I asked her, will she be sleeping with any other presidential candidates? I asked her, did the governor ever wear a condom? And was there ever a threesome? And it got so much national popularity that even the McLaughlin report referred to me as Mr. Melendez. And that's what I knew I was starting to become, a household name.
Well, and then they did you were like on Saturday Night Live too. They did a bit about you on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, they did a bit about me on Saturday Night Live. They did bits about me in Mad Magazine, which was my favorite magazine growing up. I was in Cracked. I mean, I got to appear on Conan O'Brien like 7 times. I got to be a guest on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno 2 times. I was a guest on Jon Stewart. I've just had a great, life, and I'm incredibly grateful to all those who have helped me, and I thank every single one of them in my book. And I'm grateful to Howard for giving me my start. And I've had an amazing life, and I have 3 great kids, and I'm just, and hopefully it's not over yet. I might have a big announcement very soon, Ed, and if I do, I'll give you a call and let you know what it is, or you might be reading it in the papers.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely do that for me. And now you mentioned you're going to be meeting with Casey Armstrong later on. How's he doing?
I'm going to find out. I feel like a lot of people have been asking me on Twitter and asking me, is he alive? And he is alive, and he sounds good. He's in Kentucky right now, and which I believe is where he grew up, and he was on the show with me in the heyday of the Howard Stern Show.
Yeah.
Before it became, I don't even know what the show is anymore. Howard has become everything that he's ever goofed on, and I discussed that in my book. So if you are a Howard Stern fan, I strongly, recommend that you get this book.
Yeah, the book is called Easy for You to Say. You can get it on Amazon. It'll also be on the Opperman Report bookstore. You can get a copy of it over there, too. Now, let's say we're about the same age, you and me. I'm 55 years old. And just think, man, when you were down there with Jennifer Flowers, it was such a big scandal that a presidential candidate was dating, had an affair, But now we got one with porn stars and rape allegations. He had a rape lawsuit going on while he's running for president. Do you ever think you'd see this day?
No, and it's like I don't like when I do stand up. I don't talk about politics because I know it polarizes people, and I know there is, well, maybe a little less than half the country is a supporter of Donald Trump. But I just can't believe that our country has literally gone to the gutter.
Yeah.
I mean, Donald Trump, he is the grab him by the peep president. I mean, to go from a man as eloquent, as Barack Obama, to a guy who lies more than any other president in the history of presidents. And if you go to like Truth Seeker and Fact Checker, he lies, I think, every other sentence. There's a lie. It's so amazing to me. Whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, at this point, I don't know how anybody in their right mind could support him. And simply based on his rhetoric and his character. I mean, the guy is truly, in my mind, in my estimation, a monster. And, I mean, it amazes me, Ed, and, I'm getting political, and I really didn't plan on it, but I will anyway. And, as I argue with people on Twitter, it amazes me if people can recall the recession, the Great Recession, which really was a depression, that George W. Bush handed over to Barack Obama. People don't even remember how bad the economy was. And Barack Obama bailed out the auto industry and really saved the economy and brought it back, and it began to flourish under Barack Obama. Barack Obama gave that, great economy to Trump, and the only thing that Trump hasn't done yet is ruin it. But I emphasize the word yet. I'm amazed that people don't recall how Barack took us out of the basement. I just don't. And look, if it wasn't Barack and if it was a Republican president, I'd say the same thing. He did the same thing that FDR did, and it just so happens they were both Democrats.
Now, Trump used to come on the Stern Show all the time. He used to call in. He used to come down and visit. Did you ever have any dealings with him back in those days?
Yes. I mean, here's the one thing I'll say about Donald Trump, for those of you who think I'm just trashing him. Donald Trump was a very good guy to me. I would call him for real estate advice if I was about to make a purchase. He'd pick up the phone immediately. I would call him to see if he could put me in The Apprentice. He'd pick up the phone immediately. He took me out to lunch when I was in Atlantic City. I had dinner with him when I was in Atlantic City for my fight, for my boxing match with Crazy Carrie. I flew on Donald Trump's helicopter. I mean, he put me up at the Taj once, just, for free for me and my girlfriend, and everything was free. I mean, the guy was a very good guy to me. I'm not saying that Donald Trump is not a guy that you can hang out with, and he's going to be a bad person. I just don't think Donald Trump is fit to be a president, and there's a big difference. It's just like I would say Howard Stern is a good person to hang out with, but I don't think Howard Stern is fit to be president either. And I don't think of Donald Trump, with that kind of demeanor, is fit to represent this country.
So you always had friendly terms with Trump, so that there's no hard feelings. This is just your own.
No, there's no hard feelings at all. If I saw Donald Trump, I would say hi to him. I mean, he doesn't drink, but I would have a beer. He can have a lemonade. I mean, I have no problem with the guy as a person, to hang out with. I have a problem with him as the leader of the free world. And, I don't think that his hateful bullying behavior is something that is presidential. I mean, the irony of the hypocrisy is that Melania Trump is, her big platform that she wants to be a spokesperson of is anti-bullying. Well, if that's her platform, then she should start with her husband. I mean, don't forget, this is the guy in debates who had a disparaging nickname for everybody that he's ever dealt with. Little Marco, Low Energy Jeb, Lying Ted, Pocahontas, Lock Her Up Hillary. I mean, it goes down the line. I mean, the guy just puts down everybody. I mean, so, is that what we want to show to our children? Do we want to have a president who has no problem making fun of a handicapped reporter on national television? Is that what we want as our, as our representative of the United States, from George Washington to Thomas Jefferson to Abraham Lincoln to this schmuck? I don't think so.
And you mentioned Melania. Just think, she's an immigrant, and she's also an anchor baby. She just brought her parents in.
I know, and now today, what Donald Trump says he wants to take birthright away, he wants to take citizenship away from, he's trying to overturn the 14th Amendment. I mean, I just never, ever in my head, I've been alive for 53 years, and I have never witnessed a person, of this. Just awfulness.
Yeah. We're in whole new territory. Yeah, we're in whole new territory here. It's a terrifying time to be alive. Now, why don't you? We only have a couple of minutes before the commercial break, but give us a little intro into how you pulled off this whole stunt with the prank phone call.
Well, it's interesting that I have KC on today, because what happened was KC Armstrong was too busy to do the show, so my producer, Roy, said, hey, let's just call the president. So even more unbelievable than getting in touch with the president was that Casey was too busy. But so then we just Googled White House phone number, called the number. They hung up the first time when I said I was Stuttering John, and then when I called back the second time, we decided to change from my last name, which is Melendez. Then we said, hey, it's Melendez. It's like my cousin Vinny from Callow to Gallo. We changed one letter. And I called in with a bad English accent and said I was Senator Bob Melendez's assistant. They gave me the location of the president immediately and told me he was in Fargo, North Dakota. And I'm surprised they didn't give me his longitude and latitude.
Yeah.
And then they called me back. They said they had one question and one question only. Why, if Senator Bob Melendez is from Jersey, why, do I have an 818 area code? And I just said, because we're on holiday. And that's all it took. And then in less than 2 hours, Jared Kushner and Donald Trump called me from Air Force One. And I was able to have a 5-minute conversation with Donald, a guy that has talked to me on numerous occasions, but didn't even recognize my voice, and instead thought I was Senator Bob Melendez. And let's just face it, Ed, I do not sound senatorial. I sound janitorial.
Well, not only that, but wait a second. You're talking about the same 818 number I'm talking to you on right now? Because I Googled that number and your name comes up.
Yeah. Well, this is amazing. Okay. So, I know. I mean, this is just a microcosm of how disorganized his administration is that I can, this stuttering idiot from Long Island could get through in less than 2 hours and have Air Force One call me back.
Yeah, when all they had to do was Google your number.
Well, that's all they had to do. This is how scary it gets, folks. This is the administration in charge of our nuclear code.
Now, how does Jared Kushner fit into all this?
Jared was on the plane with him. Jared's his right-hand man, apparently. I mean, Trump's got to be really pissed at Jared, not for getting duped by me, but for, marrying his girlfriend. But,
right.
No, I mean, it's just amazing. Jared Kushner. Yeah, I had to talk with Jared, and then I had to talk with Donald.
Did Jared hear your voice before this? Did you know Jared?
No, I hadn't met Jared. I mean, he just said, what do you want to speak to him about? And I made up some lie and said that I had a conversation with Donald 3 weeks ago about immigration reform, and I wanted just to get some closure on it. And then he said he would pull Donald out of a meeting. I said, or does he want Donald to call me back? I said, oh, no, you can have him call me back, and because I had to figure out how to tape it. So then they called me back, and I was just driving around the block in Beverly Hills, going around and around, while I was meeting the girl for a date, and she kept on texting me, and I'm like, hell, I'm on the phone with the president.
I see you just did all this off the top of your head.
Yeah, and I just tried to keep him on the phone. I didn't want him to do any Stuttering John type questions. I want to see how long I could keep him on the phone. And then at the end, I just threw in a Howard Stern reference and said, and a Baba Booey to you all. And that was it.
All right.
And then 2 nights later, the Secret Service is knocking on my door.
We're going to get to that. Okay, we're going to take a commercial break, and we get back because Trump didn't think this was so funny, right? He sent the Secret Service after you. So we're with Stuttering John Melendez from the Tonight Show and from the Howard Stern Show. His book is called Easy for You to Say. I can't even say it. Easy for You to Say, Stuttering John Melendez. His website is stutteringjohnmelendez.com, and we'll be right back with more of John Melendez after these messages. And now a word from our sponsors. Check out cartking.com, 877-986-7771. Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Perhaps your current business wants to add multiple point-of-sale locations across the country quickly. Maybe the facility you manage could kickstart revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services, like let's say you own an office building or a warehouse. Put one of these carts there in the lobby. Well, cartking.com can be the answer to your needs. Cartking.com is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile retail coffee and food carts and kiosks money can buy. For 20 years, CartKing.com has been working with clients and corporations across America to provide indoor and outdoor carts and kiosks for any application. From large, heated, and secure outdoor retail or food kiosks to smaller, more mobile coffee kiosks or coffee stations, coffee carts, CartKing.com designs and builds them all. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on the website, CartKing.com. Please visit today at CartKing.com or just call them at 877-986-7771. Tell them Ed Opperman sent you and you get a good deal. Remember, all these shows on Awake are brought to you by emailrevealer.com. You can go to emailrevealer.com and get a copy of my book, How to Become a Successful Private Investigator. You also do all the kind of different services for you. Online dating service investigations called an online infidelity investigation. And that's where you give us your husband or your boyfriend, your girlfriend's email address, and we trace it back to their online dating websites, and we return a list of all the dating sites that email is registered to. We can expand on that investigation and trace it back to porn sites, escort service sites, swinger sites, gambling websites, and even prescription drug websites, and all kinds of digital forensics, computer and cell phone digital forensics, where we can recover deleted content from an email or a hard drive and produce a report for you that you can use in court. That's emailrevealer.com, or you can contact me at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. The Opperman Report is brought to you by SubhashTechnosis.com. Subash Technosis is a search engine optimization and website design company. They're located in India, so you know you're going to save a lot of money and get top quality service. They offer all sorts of business process outsourcing, data entry, banking BPO services, recruitment process outsourcing, software testing, offshoring, research network, customer care, press release, content writing and distribution, and much, much more. Now, you can get a hold of Subash Technosis by email at info@subashtechnosis.com. Their website is www.subashtechnosis.com, and their Skype is ANUSHASUBASH. Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. We're here with Stuttering John Melendez from the Jay Leno Show and from the Howard Stern Show. His book is called It's Easy for You to Say, and his website is stutteringjohnmelendez.com. You can find him on Twitter, too, as well. He has a podcast every Tuesday. So, John, you were telling us about your prank phone call there to the president, and then did the Secret Service call you first, or they just showed up?
They showed up. I wasn't home. I was celebrating the call at the pub I hang out at Pickwick's Pub in Woodland Hills, California, and I was there. And then when I got home, there was 2 kids out in front of my door that told me the Secret Service was there, and they were banging on the door. So then I got nervous, and then my agent called me and said that the Secret Service had reached out to her, and she gave me the number, and I called them, and I said to them, do you want to interview me or do you want to arrest me? And they said, we can't tell you that. And I said, well, should I bring an attorney? And they said, that's up to you. And then then I immediately didn't know what to do. I said I would be there on that Monday morning, and then I called attorney Michael Avenatti, and Avenatti said that he would represent me, and he spoke to them, and he essentially got me out of going there, and then he got them to admit that they're not going to arrest me, but they wouldn't sign off on it. He said, well, then could you put that in writing? And they said no, and then he told me, well, and then he said to them, well, then John's not coming there. And that's all I heard of it, and then thank God Omarosa came out with all her revelations, and I guess the Secret Service, they lost interest in me and started to focus on other people.
Yeah, so like that, the prince over there in Saudi Arabia, right? When these bombs started going through the mail, everybody forgot about him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I remember seeing on Twitter you wanted Avenatti to represent you. So he reached out to you or you reached out to him?
I called him after they knocked on my door, and then he just said, well, call me if you hear anything. And then when the agent had heard from him, after I had the conversation with the Secret Service, then I said I called Avenatti.
You didn't think of calling Dominic Barbaro?
No. I knew Avenatti was in the news at the time, and I knew that if anyone's gonna want to go against Trump, it's going to be Avenatti. So.
But you seem like the kind of guy back in New York. You're always into things, like a real hustler type of guy. You never had like a good criminal lawyer that you could call when you're in trouble? Well,
I've never really been in trouble.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have any DUIs. I don't have, any DWIs. I never, I've never been in jail. I mean, I don't.
Okay.
Why would I have a criminal attorney if I'm not a criminal?
Okay. Hey, now what about you? Used to talk to Trump in the old days, and then you talked to him just recently. What about his mental state? What do you make of that? Getting senile?
I don't know. I mean, he's the same guy that he was when he was on the Stern show. I mean, he speaks the same way. Like I said, I have no problem with Donald Trump. I have a problem with Donald Trump as president.
Okay, now the book, you talk about a lot of stuff about your Stern days. Now, I was a huge Howard Stern fan, especially back in the days when you were there and Jackie was there and Billy West, all that kind of stuff. Is it the same guy, we hear on the radio that we fell in love with?
Yeah, I mean, Howard's a good guy. I mean, you just don't know which Howard you're going to get. Like people say to me, is Howard a good guy off the air? And I say he's a great guy off the air. And then they say, oh, so on the air is all an act. And I would say, no, off the air is all an act. Because the real Howard is the guy that you hear on the air. That's the one who can say how he feels without, having to worry about hurting people's feelings. And, that's who he is. He's unfiltered on the air. And he is what you get. So there are times where, I love the guy, and there are times where I wanted to beat the crap out of him. So, that's just how it is. And if he wasn't my boss, I probably would have beat the crap out of him a couple of times. Like, for instance, when he told my wife and I, when she was 8 months pregnant, to abort the baby because I'm not fit to be a father.
Really?
So those kind of things are where you just, and there are a lot of, things behind the scenes about how they handled their employees, how Don Buchwald, Howard's agent, and really, really creepy person, and how they would handle all of us. And it was like the firm, and Gary and I would always say it's like the firm. And just to give you an idea of how, of how it was, and this is the truth, when I was, after I gave my 2 weeks notice, and I was on the phone, I was in Gary's office on the phone with his wife, Mary Delabate, and she said on the speaker, John, we are so jealous of you. And that's the truth. I think Gary, Fred, and almost everybody there was very jealous that I was able to get out unscathed and leave for a better job and for much more pay, and not to mention 2 pensions. So, at the end of the day, I was able to get out and follow my dream. And I think a lot of them, were jealous of me at the time.
Well, how are you with everybody else? You're friends with Gary still and all those guys and Jackie?
I don't have a problem with anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's in the past. I mean, it's an interesting story. I mean, I'm friendly with Jackie. I'm still friendly with Billy West and KC, and I'm friendly with all the E guys, Doug Goodstein and Richie Wilson. I mean, I still talk to Robin on occasion. Fred, I think, was the most jealous of me, because, I mean, hell, I got the record deals when he wanted to be a musician. He even said on the air that I inspired him to pick up the guitar again, and for that, to every Stern fan, I apologize. But, and Fred, also, I wanted, he was a voiceover guy, and he went on a billion voiceover auditions. And then there he sees me, the hustler, just like you said, who goes and gets the biggest, most coveted announcing job in television history. So I think Fred is just really, it just ate him up. But I don't have any ill will towards anybody. I don't, that's not how I roll. So, I mean, if I saw any of them, I would say hi, give them a hug, and have a beer,
How about AJ Benz? Are you made up with him?
Yeah, I actually had AJ on my podcast 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I had.
AJ and I are friends. I mean, he did my podcast a while back, and he actually asked me to slap him in the face because, as you know, on the Stern Show, he slapped me once,
right.
And he asked me to slap him back so we'd be even. I said no at first, but he begged me to do it, so I did. So now we're even, and everything's good, and. I asked OJ if he wanted to be. AJ if he wanted to be my co-host. I think he's a talented broadcaster.
Yeah, I had him on the show too. He's a great guest, and he does a great show too, and I really enjoy it. It's called "Fame Ain't It a Bitch," something along those lines. Fame's a bitch, something along those lines. Yeah. Now, so now that you're older though, right, and you have your own employees and stuff like that, and you take people under your wing and you bring them up. Can you see Howard's point of view that he kind of felt betrayed? The way you left off?
I don't, and no, I don't really feel that you could, I don't know how you could, in your mind, feel betrayed when you're paying a guy such a small amount of money who was there for 15 years and who begged you to go to bat and try and get me more money. And also, I asked to speak to him a year prior to me leaving about the offer to work on the Tonight Show. As a correspondent, I talked to Robin about it. She said to set up a meeting with Howard. I tried through his assistant, and he refused. It's all documented on the air. He said he doesn't care about my career. He doesn't care about me. And I tried again. So I tried twice, and then after he refused, even Robin told me, do whatever you want now. You tried to do it the right way. So to say he was betrayed is really an overstatement. He wasn't betrayed. I tried to speak to him. He refused. I gave him my 2 weeks notice. I took it on the air the last week. I took the abuse. I felt I owed him that. And I didn't leave for a competing radio show. I left for a television show that's on at night while he's on in the morning. There's no competition there. So, no, I don't feel I betrayed him. I don't feel how he could think that he's betrayed. It's like if you're Lorne Michaels, did Adam Sandler betray you because he decided to go and do movies? No. Lorne Michaels gave Adam Sandler an opportunity to shine. Howard gave me an opportunity to shine, and then at some point, Adam Sandler gave Lauren a lot of great comedy bits, and it repaid it, and it becomes even. I gave Howard a lot of comedy bits, and it becomes even. And at some point, we're each helping each other. So I don't know how you can be angry at somebody wanting to pursue their dream. So, no, I disagree with you there, Ed.
No, because I would ask him the same question. I would say, hey, Howard, here you are. You bring this kid up. Don't you want to see him succeed and grow and go on to bigger things? Don't you think you owe him that? So I would say the same thing to him. I was just wondering what your opinion was. So don't.
No. I get it. Look, I got a lot of flack from a lot of people about leaving, and it just boggles the mind. I mean, and first of all, I would leave that show on a regular basis, like practically in tears from the amount of on-air abuse I would get. You know, it wasn't all hunky dory there. I mean, you know, Gary and I would go, oh, there's no guest today. Who's going to get it?
Yeah.
You know, and then we would get abused. I mean, and bullied and put down and called a loser and a no talent and all you do is stutter and you know, I mean, you know, at some point, you know, I don't care who you are, I don't care how thick your skin is. At some point, it's gonna penetrate, and you're gonna question yourself, and especially when you're hearing from your idol. I mean, a guy that you looked up to, and he's telling you what a loser you are. You know, there's going to be some bad blood there, and you're going to want to get out, which is what I wanted to do. I wanted to get out. I had, in the book you'll see, I came from a dysfunctional family where my father would, beat us all up as young children, and then I felt like I was reliving my childhood all over again because I would. My father was a funny man and was a good man, but then changed and became a real a-hole. And I was reliving the same thing with Howard. So for me, I had to get out. I just couldn't. I didn't want to relive that situation again. And then when I went to Jay Leno, I experienced the complete opposite. I experienced a boss that would never ever bully you or put you down and sure, he would kid around, but he was way more professional and way more, you were treated like a human being, and he appreciated your talent, and he would pull you aside and tell you what a good job that you were doing. Howard would never tell you. I would write jokes for Howard on a regular basis. Never. And same with Jackie. Never would he say, great joke, good job, ever. Never. So, it's just, I mean, that's who Howard is. He just has been that kind of guy. So, whereas Jay Leno is. I mean, they're just two different people.
Yeah, I had Jackie on the show, too. And it's you both sound like you survived the war, It definitely was an abusive situation, an abusive, dysfunctional workplace, okay? And when you look back...
No, it is.
Yeah.
It was, and it is. And I know that there are still people there that experience this. I mean... I know firsthand. I've spoken to people that are working for him now, and that are still experiencing, the abuse, and are still experiencing, this real toxic environment. And that's why I couldn't wait to get out of there. Now I know it sounds like there's a lot of sour grapes, but it's not. I mean, there's a lot that I enjoyed there. I love to make Howard laugh. I am grateful. I thank him in my book. When I left, I gave him a Tiffany clock. Thanking him for giving me my start. I will always be grateful to him. But it doesn't mean that I'm gonna have good things, all good things to say about him, because that would make me a liar.
What was it with the money situation? Because Howard was making, even back with those pay-per-view beauty pageants, he had money back then. Those were big money deals. Why couldn't he spread around the money?
I mean, Jackie has the best analogy. Jackie's analogy was Howard and Don Buchwald would have the pie. They'd give Robin a small slice and Fred a small slice, and then they would let me, Jackie, Gary, and everybody else there fight over the crumbs. And that's essentially what it was. Howard and Buchwald, they made all the money, and we didn't. I mean, my first salary after 3 or 4 years was $10,000 a year.
Wow.
So, and after being there for 15 years, it was $85,000. Now, I'm not saying $85,000 is not a lot of money, but to live in the city and raise 3 children, it and after taxes, it's not, sorry, it's just not. And especially since I was there for 15 years. Now, do I begrudge Howard for that pay? No. But it doesn't mean I'm going to look over his shoulder and try to find a job that pays more and gives me more benefits, and that's what I did. I went from a job paying me $85,000 to a job paying me over $400,000. It doesn't really seem like, a difficult decision.
No, that's not a tough decision, man. That's not a tough decision at all. Okay, let's take a little commercial break here. We're with Stuttering John Melendez, okay, and his website.
Right, I do got to go soon, Ed. I have to go and do my podcast.
Okay, then let me just play the commercial. We'll come back when we'll wrap up, okay? Stuttering John Melendez, Easy for You to Say is the book, and the website is stutteringjohnmelendez.com. We'll be right back after these messages. And now a word from our sponsors. Check out CartKing.com, 877-986-7771. Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Perhaps your current business wants to add multiple point-of-sale locations across the country quickly. Maybe the facility you manage could kickstart revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services, like let's say you own an office building or a warehouse. Put one of these carts there in the lobby. Well, CartKing.com can be the answer to your needs. CartKing.com is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile retail coffee and food carts and kiosks money can buy. For 20 years, CartKing.com has been working with clients and corporations across America to provide indoor and outdoor carts and kiosks for any application. From large, heated, and secure outdoor retail or food kiosks to smaller, more mobile coffee kiosks or coffee stations, coffee carts, CartKing.com designs and builds them all. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on the website, CartKing.com. Please visit today at CartKing.com or just call them at 877-986-7771. Tell them Ed Opperman sent you and you get a good deal. Remember, all these shows on Awake are brought to you by emailrevealer.com. You can go to emailrevealer.com and get a copy of my book, How to Become a Successful Private Investigator. You also do all the kind of different services for you. Online dating service investigations called an online infidelity investigation. And that's where you give us your husband or your boyfriend, your girlfriend's email address, and we trace it back to their online dating websites, and we return a list of all the dating sites that email is registered to. We can expand on that investigation and trace it back to porn sites, escort service sites, swinger sites, gambling websites, and even prescription drug websites, and all kinds of digital forensics, computer and cell phone digital forensics, where we can recover deleted content from an email or a hard drive and produce a report for you that you can use in court. That's emailrevealer.com, or you can contact me at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. The Opperman Report is brought to you by SubhashTechnosis.com. Subash Technosis is a search engine optimization and website design company. They're located in India, so you know you're going to save a lot of money and get top quality service. They offer all sorts of business process outsourcing, data entry, banking BPO services, recruitment process outsourcing, software testing, offshoring, research network, customer care, press release, content writing and distribution, and much, much more. Now, you can get a hold of Subash Technosis by email at info@subashtechnosis.com. Their website is www.subashtechnosis.com, and their Skype is ANUSHASUBASH. Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. We're here with Stuttering John Melendez. The book is called Easy for You to Say, and his website is stutteringjohnmelendez.com. So, John, now, back you were on there in the 80s and the 90s and stuff like that, and it was all fun and games. Looking back, though, right, when you see what happened to the Whack Pack, the guys in the Whack Pack, what are your thoughts on that today?
What do you mean, what's happened to them? How they all died?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean to laugh. I just I didn't know what you were referring to. Yeah, it's sad. I mean, Nicole Bass. I think John the Stutterer passed away. I know Kenneth Keith Callenbach passed away. Hank the Angry Drunken Dwarf, who was my favorite, he passed away. It's sad. Unfortunately, High Pitch Eric is still alive. But it's sad. I mean, I discovered a lot of those guys on the phones, Jeff the Drunk and Gary the Conqueror, who they call now, and Wendy the Slow Adult. I found a lot of those guys, and gave them their start, if you will. So it's sad, and I wish, and I give my condolences to the families.
Overall, do you think they're better off for being on the show, or they would have been better off if they would have avoided it?
Oh, I think everybody was better off for being on the show. I mean, that's one thing that Howard was the master of is, he was able to, get the best out of people, and he gave these people careers and lives, and gave them a chance to make money, and that's the same with me, and obviously I wasn't a whack packer, I was an employee, and but yeah, I think it was better for them to be on there. I mean, look at Beetlejuice. I think he still gets paid a pretty good amount of money to appear at, at bars and stuff.
When you look back, what are you most proud of?
Getting out.
Okay.
No, honestly, I'm most proud of, of just believing in myself. Like, one of the messages in my book, and it's very important, is to just not, listen to people who put you down. Don't ever believe in the word can't, and try, and I think that, you always have to, if you don't believe in yourself, nobody is going to. I know that's a cliche, but it's true. And I always followed my dreams, no matter if Howard called me a loser every other day. I still believed that I was talented and knew that I could write for television, and knew that I could make people laugh, and knew I could be a successful comic, which I had been. So, you have to believe in yourself, and you can't listen to that little voice in your head that my local coach would call the brat, which is the one that wants to put you down and wants to doubt. You just can't let doubt and fear ever take place of confidence and and ambition. And I think that's what I'm most proud of. I'm also very proud to become a spokesperson for stutterers everywhere. I have been a mentor for a lot of stuttering children, and I tell one very, very special story in my book about a kid named Conroy Arnold, which is a real moving, touching story, and who I helped. And I think that's another good thing is that a lot of stutterers have gotten many a letter from stutterers telling them how I inspired them and how I became a voice for them. So I think that is probably the most important. And then I guess the most important is being a good dad to my kids and never repeating the bad behavior that my father put upon us. I never hit my kids, never raised my hand. I rarely ever yelled, and I love them dearly. I dedicate the book to them, and I'm very proud of myself, because you can always make a choice. You can either be what you experience, or you can change that behavior, and I chose to change it. So, and I remember being in the basement after one of my beatings that my father gave me, and I said, one day, I was like 10 years old. I said, I'm gonna have a son. I'm gonna name him Oscar. I'm never gonna hit any of my kids, and thank God I was blessed with my son, who's now 12, and his name is Oscar, and I love him like I love my other son, Knight, and my daughter, Lily, and they're great kids. I think that's the most I could be proud of.
Man, on that note, I tell you, thank you so much, John Melendez. And you know what? Hearing that story, I can understand, because I was always impressed, man. I said, this guy is such a freaking hustler. He's always got something going on, some juggling something in the background there, So I was always impressed by that, man. John Melendez, thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Ed. Don't forget, easy for you to say, in bookstores on November 13th.
You got it, man. Good night.
All right, thanks, Ed. Bye.
Okay, then we had Stuttering John Melendez from the Howard Stern Show, and then later on with the what's that thing called? Jay Leno's Tonight Show. Stuttering John Melendez. The book is called Easy for You to Say. You can check it out there on Amazon.com. You can also check it out in the Opperman Report bookstore. As you may recall, we had previously tried to book Mr. Melendez on a couple of other occasions. Okay. Very, very busy man, very important man. Stuttering John Melendez, and really I had to leave early, but that's okay. sometimes you got to leave early, right? You get an appointment conflicting appointments. These things happen. No hard feelings. I'm going to have to find another hour to fill this week. We got some big stuff coming up this week. I taped a show on the Amityville Horror, 1 hour, with this woman, what's her name? Kaplan or something like that? Who was one of the original Ghostbusters there with the Amityville Horror, and then came out with a book called The Amityville Horror Conspiracy, which comes out that the whole thing's a hoax. And I'm doing another show tomorrow. I'm taping with this gentleman who did a movie about the human trafficking and child trafficking, so we'll have him on as well coming up. I'm working on booking that show with, because I got a hold of A.J. Weberman. We're chatting. It turns out A.J. Weberman is friends with the attorney for the mail bomber, Cesar Koyak, I think his name is. Sayak. And AJ just happens to be friends with his lawyer. Okay, these things happen, right? It's a small world, as they say, right? And so I saw them chatting online, and I says, hey, can I get you to come on the show? He says, sure. So we're going to have to tape with him, too, as well, as soon as we can schedule that around Mr. Stutterer's busy schedule. And we don't want to... we don't want to take up anybody's time, but it's a silly little show like this. Hey, if you like this show, and you see the struggling I go, if you had only knew what I went through last night at this dentist office, man, oh my God, I got a 3-hour dental appointment, right? I'm working on my teeth. And as you know, I don't have a lot of money, so I go to a dental school. Okay, I got the students working on my teeth. All right? How's that? And so because they're being tested on my teeth work and stuff like that, takes 3 hours. Every Monday night, I go down there 3 hours. I get down there at 6 o'clock at night, and I'm there till like 9 o'clock at night. And I drive home, I buy a bottle of vodka and drink myself to sleep. Hey, so last night, they shoot me up with the Novocaine, right? And somehow, I don't know, I had a bad reaction to it or what, I don't know. And I couldn't swallow. So every time I'm lying back and I'm working on my teeth, I had to swallow. I was like jumping up out of the seat. It was a really stressful night that I had there last night with this dentist situation. But if you notice, I don't miss my appointments. I'm here on the nose at 11 a.m. to tape my show for my lovely audience who I love so much. And so if you like this dedication that I have here for you, 1 foot in the grave in this dental chair, okay? 1 foot... getting dissed by my guest. Okay, 1 foot here and there. What do you call it? You can support the show. You can support the show. You can go to OppermanReport.com and you can become a member. Now, right now, we got the first of the month in 2 days. We're not even covered the bills from last month. I had to put some of the bills on a credit card. So if you want to help us out, this is the time to do it, man. Okay, if you want to keep the show on the air, you want to keep me motivated and keep me going here and keep me in my discount dental chair. Okay, all the work I do for you, you can go to OppermanReport.com and become a member. You can also go to OppermanReport.com and you can send a donation. Or you can contact me at OppermanReport@gmail.com and I can give you a big discount. I'll give you 13 months for $65. How's that? That's a good deal, right? And, or you could, just contact me if you want to sponsor the show, if you want to advertise on the show as well. And you go to OppermanReport@gmail.com and I'll put you on the air here. We'll drive a lot of traffic to your book sales and to your appearances and stuff like that. I guarantee you that, man. We definitely have the ability to fill a room. When John Potash came out with his film, "Their Drugs as Weapons Against Us," and it aired it screened over there in California, Beverly Hills. Just talking about it 2 weeks, and we got that place. Everyone there knew who I was. They were all there because of the show. So, there you go. OppermanReport@gmail.com. Any needs you got. Hey, if you want to send me a tip. By the way, don't send me any tips. Okay. There's a lot of crazy stuff, man. People send me. It's very unlikely that I want to see the YouTube link you want to send me. It's very unlikely that I'm going to have any interest in that YouTube link. That there's anything there of any value to it. Or that I haven't seen it before. It's very unlikely. And if you notice you're not getting a lot of responses from me, maybe I'm not interested in what you said to me. Hey, HoppermanReport@gmail.com. All right, we'll wrap it up here. And good old Shane will put in some sad music here at the end here. I contemplate on my miserable life and my dental, secondhand dental work, and scheduling mishaps, and all the fun that we put in this work for you every week, week after week after week. 7 hours of content I put out here for you, if you haven't noticed. 7 hours a week. Good old Opperman Report content. Exclusive, unique, book some guests and people never heard of, know what they're doing. I'm grinding, as these kids like to say, grinding day after day after day. For a little pay, a little appreciation. A lot of complaints. If you should read the comments I get, and YouTube comments or email comments, you wouldn't believe how much this is a joy to be doing this show. What is that? Heck is this? All right, gotta go. Thank you so much, and here's now some sad music.